Veterinary Medicine Digital.
The diagnosis of leptospirosis through diagnostic tests is still an art in development. There is no good one diagnostic test to definitively diagnose leptospirosis in any one case. First, you have to have a clinical assessment or impression that you have leptospirosis in any one case before you should start running diagnostic assays. The mainstay of diagnostic serology in the dog is still the microagglutination test, the MAT test. This test is fraught with problems because it cross-reacts with vaccine titers, and it's not necessarily serovar specific. So the confusing aspect of this test is that you're going to get multiple elevations in titers to various serovars. In the unvaccinated dog, that's not a problem. If you get an elevated titer in an unvaccinated dog that is showing clinical signs, then it's more than likely got leptospirosis, and you can treat appropriately. However, if you get an elevated titer to several serovars in a vaccinated dog, the question is always, is the elevated titer due to the vaccine or to the infection? To be able to reconcile those sorts of results, you definitely have to know the vaccine history of the dog, not only when it was last vaccinated, but how often it was vaccinated. Then you have to sort through the jumble of titer elevations to the various serovars, remembering that certain vaccines will produce elevations to specific serovars, even if those serovars are not contained within the specific vaccine. For example, the Fort Dodge 4-way vaccine will produce massive serovar elevation to autumnalis. This is a diagnostic problem because even though you have not vaccinated with that product, you can get massive elevations to that serovar, and you may be misled in diagnosing the dog with Leptospira autumnalis. Usually, you still have to go back and recheck the titer after you have made that initial serum titer assessment. In other words, you still need paired titers and MAT for vaccinated dogs. If a dog has been vaccinated, the titers are not going to change much over the 2 to 3 week period that you will recheck the vaccine, recheck the titer. However, in dogs that are naturally infected, the titer will increase dramatically over that 3 week period. There is a caveat to this analysis, however, and that is the dog that is treated very early on with appropriate antibiotics, albeit doxycycline. If you treat a dog early on with doxycycline, that will mitigate titer development. So, your first serum titer might show a small elevation initially, and then if you repeat that titer 3 weeks after you initiate treatment, you actually might find that the treatment has completely removed the titer elevation, and therefore you are going to underestimate the development of lepto in that case. In that situation, if you start treating very early with doxycycline, then you should not wait longer than 5 to 7 days before you repeat the MAT titer. If the dog is naturally infected with leptospirosis, you will appreciate an elevation in titers in that shorter period. So my recommendation in dogs that are vaccinated that you suspect lepto and are showing consistent signs for lepto, do an initial titer when they first walk in the door, treat with doxycycline and other appropriate therapies aggressively, and then repeat the titer 5 days later. If the dog truly is a lepto case, you will appreciate elevations in MAT. Don't forget to use other modalities, diagnostic modalities in confirming cases for lepto. The fluorescent antibody test on urine, collected after giving a small dose of Lasix, can be greatly helpful in definitively diagnosing these cases. And don't overinterpret PCR tests done on urine. PCR on urine is still a questionable science at best. Although there are great strides in the use of PCR on urine for the diagnosis of lepto, it still does not surpass the use of the MAT test. Hopefully, in the future, we will have a quick, rapid SNAP test, in-hospital SNAP test for diagnosing leptospirosis that not only is accurate early on in infection, but differentiates natural infection from vaccination titers.